Welcome to today's episode of To Whoever Needs This podcast. Today's guest is an entrepreneur, he's an innovator, he's a videographer, he's a photographer. It's many things that he actually do. I think he's a barber, cook, a mechanic. He's the owner and founder of 7S Media and 7S Studios that's currently located here in Troy. He hails from the big city of Phoenix City, Alabama. Today's guest is my fake nephew, Jonas.
Man, I appreciate it. I appreciate the introduction. Thank you for having me on this, especially as the first guest, man. That's crazy. I did not see this coming for sure, but I'm happy to be here, man.
And like I told you when I just dropped that on you, you was like, me the first. I was like, I only want people here who really want to be here,
right,
and who have some type of value they can add to the algorithm. You know, we want some value.
Right.
But before we begin, there's two questions I always want to ask any guest that we come on. Number one, how's your mental health, and how's your physical health?
My mental health, I think it's great because now surely life pushes and pull you in every direction. Whether that's work, your family life or relationship or, financial status, all sorts of stuff like that. Those things I would say probably are the main things that could, alter your mental status. But I think that what really holds me to where I am right now is just my faith in God, really. Because that's the rock. You know what I'm saying? That's what's really gonna, keep you anchored down, as the winds blow.
Right.
So yeah, I would think my mental health is pretty great. I'm definitely grateful and thankful for it because I know there's a lot of people that aren't feeling that way, you know, and it's tough. It's tough to where you're in a hole and you don't know how to get out. You don't even know the first step about how to, find your way out of that hole. So it can definitely be pretty daunting. But my physical health, I think it's pretty good. You know what I'm saying? And it's getting better because as you may know, as y'all don't know, you may know, Mitch is my trainer.
What?
So Physique by Suso, and that's his whole, that's his feng shui, that's his lane, that's his expertise, So I called him one day and I was like, man, I want to do this physique competition.
Right.
It's kind of like a bodybuilding competition, and I've never done nothing like that before, but the way I think about life and things and people is man, if somebody did something before, I can do it too. They're humans just like me.
Right.
Man, they did that, I can do that.
Right.
I just need to do it. So
Definitely.
I gave you that call and you were like, all right, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Like immediately, and that's one thing I definitely can commend you on. You are a believer. You are someone, who says, you know what, if this is the target, that's what we're going to hit.
Let's do it.
This is what we're aiming for. Let's get it done. So yeah, right. Heck yeah. Yep.
All right.
That's probably my mental and physical health.
Okay, good. So you being from Phoenix City, correct?
Yeah.
So how did growing up in Phoenix City kind of shape you in being the person you are today?
No, yeah. Growing up in Phoenix City was, I guess just like a lot of other cities, right. There's good things, there's bad things, you kind of get exposed to it all, no matter what age you are. But I think that there comes a time, no matter what city you grow up in, where you have to make a decision and say, I want to go this way and not that way. This is what I want my path to be, right? Or this is the message I want to, portray when people think about me, right? And my decision was that. I was like, you know what? I want to, what if I were able to do this or become this? obviously there's a lot of doubt because you're thinking like, man, I come from this community. Usually people don't make it out, or you know, here's the running statistic and things like that.
Right.
But you know, if you let that stuff really like take you over and really like cling itself to you, and you start identifying with that, you come into agreement with it, right? And immediately you put the cap on yourself.
It makes sense.
Right?
It makes sense.
And I didn't want that. I was like, you know, no, this is my story. You know, I'm gonna push this way. So I think that's how growing up in Phoenix City was. And I was there, you know, my whole life before college, and which is pretty normal, but I only left, I think when I was like 16 or 17 or something like that. Yeah. So I went out West Coast.
So how did you end up in the West Coast?
So I took a flight to go see some of my cousins that I've never been out there, and just seeing that whole different scenery was like mind blowing. I was like, whoa, what's going on? The building structure was different. The inside of homes were completely different. I mean, I had never laid my eyes on floor plans like that ever. Right. And I was like, wow, like, yeah. So, and then like the way people were, you know, carrying themselves and thinking, like, in my younger mind, I was like, dang, wow, like, okay, immediately I'm thinking, okay, this is how it is over here. Well, what about over there? What about over here? What about across the world? What about, so I started thinking like, man, there's so much stuff that I'm ignorant of. There's so much stuff that I have yet to experience and find out. So, but yeah, no. Like growing up in Phoenix City, we had a good time in my childhood, man. We cracked a lot of jokes.
Right.
We got into trouble. We, you know, did all the things, you know what I'm saying? Running through the woods, you know, playing in the dirt, playing basketball all day, hurting each other, fighting each other, all type of stuff. So it was. I wouldn't trade it for anything, though.
So now you mentioned that you attended college, right? So you grew up in Phoenix City, attended high school in Phoenix City, and then attended college, correct?
Yeah.
So what school did you attend?
I went to Troy University.
Oh, hold on, come on now.
Yeah, I was.
Come on, man, Big Troy. Come on.
Yeah, I went to Troy University, and I only came because a family friend of ours, he recommended that I joined the Air Force RTC program because he was in the Air Force.
While you was in high school?
While I was in high school.
Okay.
Not the program in high school, but go to college and join ROTC to become an officer. So there's a few ways to become an officer in the military, and that's one of the ways. And you know, I didn't really have any direction of like, okay, I want to do this, I want to go here, I want to do that. I just knew I wanted to help people, but that was it. That's so broad. You can do that in a million different, you know, facets. So I mean, that's kind of what it was. I finished up my Eagle Scout. And once I got that, I went to apply for Troy, and that was it. And I just, you know, they accepted me, and then I started, you know, Air Force RTC, and, you know, that's how I ended up at Troy.
So what was your major?
My major was computer science.
Computer science, your computer science major. And after graduating, how was life then? Because usually, and the reason I ask that is because oftentimes, from what I hear, is that most people who get a degree, they oftentimes don't get a job in the field that they receive their degree in. So how was life after college for you?
No, that's completely true. You do feel a sense of, you can feel a sense of lostness, right? Because what happens is when you're going through that process, you're like, all right, cool. I've been telling everybody, you know, what I want to do with my life. I want to finish college first, and then I want to do this, right?
What year was that?
2020. Yeah, 2020 was like my last semester.
Okay.
And the 2020 fall of 2020, and I was like, you know, a lot of people ask, hey, what are you doing after blah, 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 you know, and you're used to saying, hey, yeah, I'm going to become a power pilot. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Because, you know, you got your game plan or whatever,
Right.
you quickly find out, like, you're not really in control. You know what I'm saying? Life be lifing, for sure. And so what happens is a lot of people, they're like, man, you know, I thought this was going to work out. I thought I was going to be able to get an internship here, and then I'd do some time here, and then I get picked up by this firm or picked up by this job or company or whatever, right? And sometimes that doesn't happen, right?
Right.
Now, me, that didn't happen to me. What happened to me was I did have an unforeseen circumstance come, but that was before I was out of college. I went to school to be an Air Force officer, right? To contract as a cyberspace officer.
Oh, wow.
That was it. But in my third year, I got removed from the program. Now, you know, but by that time I had started my entrepreneurship journey, right? So it was kind of clashing and butting heads when I was in Air Force RTC. You know, my prioritization, you know, they started seeing that I was shifting more towards this than that, right? But I was like, man, I just gravitated towards it. I was like, man, okay, cool. I started cutting hair in college, you know what I'm saying? And then I started, you know, learning these like business tactics and stuff like that to increase my prices, to make it more, you know, easy on me. Scheduling and all sorts of stuff. So I'm starting to really get into the entrepreneurship, you know, realm. And then I got into financial literacy because I wanted to understand money. And after that, I went down a rabbit hole and I was like, I need to know more. 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 And then I started going to these seminars. Then I started hosting seminars. And, you know, when I got removed from the program, I was sad for about a day. but the next day,
Hold on. Time out. Time out. So, but that's it. Careful. So you've been in this program how long?
Yeah, I was in that program for like 3-4 years.
3 or 4 years.
And that's waking up at 5 a.m.
Right.
You know, every day.
Every
having
day.
to go, you know, do PT and stuff like that,
Right.
and all the elements. Now, you know,
You get removed.
Yeah, I got removed.
You were sad for one day.
I'm sad for one day.
All right.
But that wasn't like any I don't want anybody to think that's on like some macho tip, right? Or like, oh, I can't be bothered, I can't be touched. That was because of my faith. I was like, God is still in control. No matter what somebody, you know, whatever boss, whatever, you know, appointed position, you know, whoever's over you, they don't have the final say so.
Right.
You know, but that's what it can feel like when you have this like, you know, structure over you, like this is the ranking system, this is the, you know, XYZ. It can feel like that, right? But once you like you keep your eyes on like who's really in control, you're like, man, look, I'm gonna be okay.
It'll be okay.
It's gonna be okay, right?
Yeah.
And I wear this wristband. I don't ever take it off. It's not called. It just says never give up, right? Basically, you know, obviously, it's just don't give up. You know, everything's gonna happen to you, but it's up to you to decide how you react to everything.
Right.
And so I was sad that day and that night, but that was about it. That was it.
That was it.
And I was like, well, you know, I'm still here.
Whoop-de-doo.
I'm still here. You know, like what's next?
Right.
So then I started going deeper into, you know, my entrepreneurship journey, and then that was pretty much with my college career. And then I got into, you know, starting my business, my media business.
Media business. So you graduated in 2020, fall 2020, and I saw just in my investigation, in a sense, right, just learning more about you and your craft and everything that you do, that you started your media company, 7S Media, in 2022, and you started your studio, 7 Studio.
Studio 7. Yeah.
Studio 7. I'm sorry. Pardon me. Studio 7. Let me get it together. Studio 7. It's Studio 7. All right. Studio 7.
Studio.
In 2023. You know what I'm saying? So they was like, you started one, boom, the next year, and you have your own place. Because I mean, when y'all have opportunity to come in here and do some work with him, you're gonna see the work that he's placed in here. A lot of great things can happen in this space. You can get everything from photos taken. I know he's gonna tell you about it. I'm just, bragging on it. There you go. We're bragging on it. But so you started your media company in 2022. You started Studio 7 here in Troy in 2023. What made you say, like, I have this information, I'm here in Troy, why not take it back to Phoenix City? Why did you do it here? Like, why here out of all places you could have went? Why here?
That's a fair question. Why not take it back to my hometown? You know, like I was saying, in college, I had started, you know, some of it, right? But I had already permeated the area, if you will, you know, with my branding and, you know, my presence and things like that. So I was, you know, my media company and business. And I don't even know if you can really call it a company back then, but my media presence was known just on the campus at that point.
Yeah.
But when I started expanding into the city, you know, that's when I was like, you know what? Why go back home and try to start over? You know, like I've already have some type of, you know, repertoire here, like some type of rapport here.
Yeah.
Right? You know, it was tiny,
Right.
you know, compared to the city, but it was something. And I was like, I don't think I want to go back and do that. So I was like, well, shoot, I'm gonna just, you know, stay here.
Right.
And that's why I was searching around here. So
Yeah, and then with you being an alumni of Troy, and you have the Idea Bank, and you recently won a competition for media marketing, and you won $10,000. And it's public record. Let me say that again. It's public record. I ain't putting this business out there.
this is out.
It's public records. All right, so y'all relax. It's public record. All right, it's public record. So, and within winning that, you had the opportunity to help other small businesses with their marketing media. So, how is that going?
Man, that's going amazing. Actually, that was such a and shout out to the Idea Bank and Regions Foundation for doing that and putting the money up, because that was, as soon as that opportunity came about, I was like, that's mine. That's immediately what I said. I said that's mine because I knew what it could do. I knew what it could do. The main problem that we're running into in a smaller town like Troy is nobody really has the marketing money to spend on, you know, media creation and scripting and editing and, you know, high powered cameras, great lights, you know, spaces and things like that. That's just what it is right now. Right. So there's a lot of small businesses and they don't really have that much extra money to try to get all that gear themselves, let alone have somebody who's very experienced, or let alone a team, you know, to come in to make sure that they do this work on a consistent basis. You know, it's just not sustainable. So my plan was that won the $10,000 competition was I was going to create and get rid of that money problem for 5 businesses. So we basically built $2,000 packages for 5 businesses for media, right? Meaning that we're going to go in, we're going to, you know, create you a brand identity video, you know, to let people know, hey, what you do, what's your expertise, what is your business for, how is it impacting the community, things like that, right? And why is it important? X, Y, Z. And we also delve into your products and services. So when people go to your page, they see this stuff, it looks great, it's great lighting, it's great camera quality, you know, that's half the battle. You know, the other half is just, you know, people saying, yeah, you know what, that is cool. I want to be a part of that. And, you know, we've done this for nonprofits. We've done this for profits. You know, we've gotten businesses off the ground with it. You know, like people who are saying, hey, I got this business, but I have no social media presence. I don't have the time to figure it out. I don't have the energy to figure it out. They may be working another job trying to get their, you know, their side gig, but soon full-time job, you know, going. So it's helped a lot. It really has. It has gotten people other grants for their business, right, and organization.
Just by them getting this particular package.
Just by them having professional brand awareness. Because I mean, no matter how good your story is, it falls on bad soil if it's not presented correctly, or if nobody ever really knows about it. You know, if nobody knows about it, it doesn't matter how good your story is or why you're important, because nobody knows about it, right? So that's what the whole plan was about. And it was to basically get businesses that will create a big impact in the community, that would create more jobs, that would, you know, create more awareness about what they have going on, just completely boost the entire small business community in this whole entire county. Right. So, and what's happened is, you know, we've come in and filmed and scripted and things like that, and produced videos and kicked them out. And what has happened was, and this was very much planned, they start to realize that, oh, okay, well, this isn't as hard as I thought, right? You know, they're like, oh, wait, well, shoot. Well, we can at least do this, right? And so that's what gets the wheels turning, right? That's what gets everybody involved. Like, okay, well, hey, we can do this now. You know, even after, you know, all the media money is spent on, you know, all the packages, what are they left with? They're left with other videos to where they're like, you know what? I can do this right here. I can still do this. I get it. I understand it now, right? So that ignites an entire fire in the whole community. So
that's big, because not only are you aiding and assisting them, but you're giving them the opportunity to believe that it's possible.
Absolutely.
That I have quality videos, quality content, and it's being presented to the world in a way that it looks elite.
That's right.
And it can rival with any other.
That's right.
Right. So now we know we live in an era of content creation and different things like that, AI, and we've already had previous discussions about how do you feel about AI dominating everything with content creation, movies, and even music. So how do you feel about that overall, about the influence of AI taking over completely and ridding itself of, say, humans?
AI is wonderful. It's wonderful.
Don't say that too fast.
AI is wonderful because, like, now obviously everything is a double-edged sword if you can look at it that way, right? Everything is. Too much of anything is bad, you know.
Boy, spitting,
Too much of anything is bad. But I would say it's incredible because it speeds everything up so much faster. Like, you can cut down the thought process on, like, man, how should I make this, or how should I do this? Or, for instance, I used AI on my editing office back there and said, hey, how can I redo this entire office? I need to make it modern. I want to make it look techie. I want to make it look, you know, colorful, but like dark, to where, like, I don't feel like there's a bunch of lights in my face, all types of stuff. Took a picture of the room, and it just scanned it. It said, hey, you need to move the file cabinet. You need to take this off the shelf. You need to remove this table. You need to put an L-shaped desk right here. Like, it was doing a bunch of stuff. And I was like, dang. Now, mind you, I've been thinking about this myself for about 3 months. Right? And it did it in 3 seconds. So that's just the difference, you know? You could say, hey, even with the meal plan, you know, that I'm setting up with, you know, your training. And I was like, man, okay, if I eat this many macros of you know, on this ratio for 7 days, or let's just say even if I did 5 days and 2 days off with like a high carb on the weekend, like, it's thinking about a bunch of stuff. And it's saying, hey, you know, well, okay, cool. This sounds like a good plan. How about I put this into like a, you know, organized spreadsheet? It's amazing, you know.
So, but even within that, because we always have the anti. We have those who are pro AI, those who are anti AI. So do you actually believe that it's people, in a sense, bowing to the machine if they depend so much on AI instead of using their basic human?
So no, like that's a good point, because I mean, like I said, too much of anything is bad. So, like, that's just like being on pain medicine. You're like, man, I don't want to go through this. This is irksome. It's kind of annoying. I don't want to go through, this irritability, right? I would just rather, circumvent that. I'll take these pain pills. I ain't got to worry about it.
Right.
But after a while, you just kind of get used to it, right? Mm-hmm. And you don't even think like, okay, well, instead of, doing what I need to do on my end and, take a little more time and maybe a little more arduous of a process, instead of that, I can just do this.
What word you just dropped in?
Arduous. Right. Arduous.
Boy,
But
shout out to Troy University. The man just dropped. You see how he just dropped that all just, yeah. Go ahead.
I give credit to my mom on that.
Oh,
I give credit to my mom on that.
Troy, let me get that prop back. All right, I was gonna give it to Troy.
I give that to my mom.
Bro said, what, arduous? Like what? What you mean? He dropped arduous and it was like that. But that's all right. Anyway,
I could have.
No. You good.
Okay.
You good.
Okay. Anyways, using AI can be, it can relieve a lot of stress.
Right.
But obviously, using it too much, it can become a crutch.
Yes.
That's just like we face it now. Mm-hmm. When dial-up first came and the computers first came, we were like, man, we were just excited about the opportunity to surf the web.
Right.
Now, if a web page doesn't load like that, we're like, oh, what's going on?
Right.
We're calling the IT like, hey, somebody do something.
Right.
Why is this not working right now?
Right.
But we used to wait 20 minutes.
Good point.
So, yes, it's speeding everything up. But now our expectations just keep rising higher and higher and higher. Mm-hmm. Because we know technically, the sky is the limit, but it kind of makes you like, not as grateful anymore. So it's definitely, it has its pros and cons. Yeah.
So now, okay, so let's say, boom, I'm a content creator.
All right.
I have my phone. Mm-hmm. What can you say to a person who's trying to create content? They're saying, this is my job now. They have it in their profile. Mitchell Sneed, content creator. What do you do? I create content. Do I need all the lights? Do I need all the stuff? Like, why should I pay you when I can go over here and they go create something too? What makes yours so much better where I can still use my phone, I can get this many followers,
right,
or this many likes, or this many views, versus me spending money with you and you doing the same thing?
That's
what makes yours so pop? I mean, so special? What you do? What's the magic dust? What you do, man?
I got you. So if somebody's just getting started and they only have their phone, and I wouldn't look at it as a competitive thing off the rip. I wouldn't look at it like, oh, my services are better than XYZ, or we're able to do this and you aren't. I wouldn't look at it in that light per se. I would say, here's a way to do it.
Right.
And here's another way to do it. That may be more convenient.
Right.
Less cumbersome, if you will, right? Using your phone is not a bad thing. It's cost effective. You don't have to buy a new camera, XYZ. But you should be more intentional with the edits, right? That's what matters more, okay? But there's so much content out there now. You're like, man, do I really need a $5,000 camera with a $4,000 lens? Do I really need that?
Even though you have that, but you know what I'm saying? Even though you have that.
The short answer is you don't need that, right? Is it a necessity? No. Does it add to your value? Yes. Does it make you become presented better? Yeah. But if you're trying to start off, definitely start with your phone. I wouldn't even pick up a camera if I was just now starting off. Matter of fact, when I just started off, I did use my phone, and that was pretty much it. My first gig was I honed in on the editing side. That was just my story. Mm-hmm. Some people do it the other way, or they just end up doing it the other way. I was heavy on editing. I was fascinated at the ability to make people see what I wanted them to see, to make them take a step into my mind, if that makes sense, right? so I could create something that like, man, it triggers this emotion. It has them thinking this. It makes them, perceive this way. Like, it was just crazy. I was like, wow, I could do all this stuff, right? And if you can think it, I mean, that's you can do it, you know?
Right.
So my first actual like gig was a wedding, and the bride actually, she loved my edits and my thought process of the videos I was creating already so much to where she was like, hey, I want you to shoot my wedding, but I'll buy your camera.
Hold time.
Yeah, so like
Hold.
I was like, I don't have a camera, and she was like,
You say you shot this with the phone first?
no, I didn't shoot the wedding with a phone.
No, I'm saying your first.
I was just using my phone.
Okay,
I
yeah.
was just using my phone for stuff.
Okay,
right?
yeah, okay. I was like, hold on.
And but the editing on those videos were immersive.
Right.
I believed in like, deep details and things like that. And I think what happened was she saw that and was like, you know what? I want that, but for my wedding, because she wants to capture the emotions and tell the story and, X, Y, Z. And I was telling her, I was like, hey, I mean, I don't really know, because you can't really mess up during a wedding. There's no redos. You can't re-walk back down the aisle.
Right.
And I was kind of nervous, but, and I was telling her, I was like, look, I don't even have a camera, and so she believed in me so much to where she bought my camera.
Wow.
And I was like, dang. And so I had 6 months to use it until the wedding. And so that's what I did. And I killed the wedding. And after that, I just started, picking up more gigs and stuff like that, and eventually went corporate. But for somebody who's starting off, for lights, you could go to Amazon and get like little $20 lights, $50 lights, a bunch of little stuff. It just depends on your effort. There's so much stuff out there that you could make look a certain way. You don't have to have the top dollar stuff. You have to have the drive to make it happen, and the imagination.
The drive and imagination.
The drive and the imagination, and you can do anything, really.
So it's not even all about the things. The things are helping.
No.
Because you can have the big camera, the big light.
Yeah.
But if you don't have the drive and imagination, none of that.
Yeah.
Okay, I got
exactly.
you.
And and honestly, one thing you will find, and I think a lot of people are finding this out now, with equipment, there's always going to be the latest this, or a new this drop, or a new whatever came out. And you could easily fall into that FOMO, that fear of missing out, where you're like, oh, I gotta have this. Oh, wait, but this one does this. You'll never be able to, stack your profit if you're constantly chasing the latest product, or always feeling like, man, if I had this,
Right.
if I had this, I'll be okay.
Hey.
And then you finally get it. Then you're like, well, I don't know. Well, now I got this. I could have this, and that'll really be the recipe. And then you get it. And it happens again and again and again and again.
Right.
And now you're like, dang, now you're $80,000, $100,000 down the drain in gear.
Wow.
And you're lacking clients when somebody else has one this, one that, and they've got plenty of clients, right? It's not about the gear. It's about your drive and your imagination.
All right. Cool. So this is what I need from you.
Okay.
I need you to look at your camera. Your camera. Yeah, this one's your camera. I need you to look at your camera, and I need to, whoever needs this, give them some form of encouragement that if they are fearful of taking the first step, what would you tell them?
Okay. To whoever needs this, if you're fearful about taking the first step, I would definitely say get it out the way. Embarrassment is a mind trick. It's an emotion, and emotions fade. You're happy one day, you're sad one day, you're feeling energetic one day, you're feeling, down in the dumps one day. It'll fade, embarrassment is an emotion, and it will fade. If you can get over that hump, you'll start to learn to fall forward. You're like, man, yeah, I messed up, but I got back up, and now I'm doing this. The sooner that you can mess up, the better, because then you'll get used to not really caring and not placing value in other people's negative perceptions, right? And what you don't know is somebody somewhere is looking at you like, man, I wish I had that confidence. I wish I was able to even make one video. I wish I was even able to go knock on a door or pitch this idea or try to, like just try, people, every time you get over a mountain, that's another bottom to another mountain. And so you can find yourself climbing up these mountains and you're on like the, 18th mountain. And you're like, man, I'm back at ground zero again. But somebody else is on mountain number 2 looking at you like, man, that person's really got it. That person's getting it, So I know it's easier said than done, trust me. I still feel those things sometimes too, because you always enter into bigger rooms and you can feel undervalued and you can feel unappreciated. You can feel, like you don't belong there. But you belong wherever you say you belong. And that's the truth behind it, because you'll quickly find out those people on that level, they're just like me.
Right.
They once came in here, or they probably still feel like, man, I'm looking at everybody else, And then the people on the next level, it's the same thing. You start finding out like, man, these people are just people, and they're just at this stage, So that's what I would give as encouragement to someone who is, trying to enter this lane, that's to whoever needs this.
So I got this idea from R&B Money Podcast. Shout out to R&B Money Podcast. They always ask the question at the end of who would they like to see on the show next, and could you actually help get them on the show?
Who do I think would be good for your show next? I think that it's a guy named Jared Henderson.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a guy that has resonated me within my career, my collegiate time, and things like that. And he started his own DJ company, and like he's doing the doggone thing, and he has also experienced every emotion getting to where he is. So I think he'd be great for your show.
All right, cool. So
and I could get him to somewhat maybe agree,
right.
But no.
Right.
All jokes aside, I think he'll be cool. I think he'll be down for it.
DJ Red, look, we need you here.
Yeah.
So, bro, listen, do this huge favor for me again. I know I'm asking for a lot of favors. Tell them how to contact you, man. How they gonna get in contact with you to get all this content creation, videography, all that type of good stuff.
So you can follow the company on Instagram and Facebook at 7s.media co or 7s Media Company, and also Studio 7 Troy. That's on Instagram and Facebook. So. You'll be able to see, some behind the scenes and some shoots and some setups that we do here in the studio. Yeah.
All right. So again, thank y'all for tuning in. Tune in to the next episode, and this is all to whoever needs this.